A lot of people died, and it was a very, very cruel thing that happened, and a needless thing that happened, you know. And we lost Leonardo DiCaprio, and it was awful, you know. And
there was space on that rock.
There was definitely space on that fucking door.
There was.
Yeah, that's the biggest conspiracy.
Hello! Welcome to Believe, the Conspiracy Theory podcast. I'm Phil Green.
And I'm David Ferguson.
And this is a podcast all about the world's craziest conspiracy theories, and this is a very exciting episode, isn't it?
Oh, yes, because we went live!
We went live! This is one of our live episodes that we did at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which we have just got back from. We are recording this introduction in the studio, and I'll be honest with you, we are still fucked, aren't we?
Oh my God, yes. I was sleeping on a sofa. My back is very, very sore, and we've both had the lurgy.
We both had the lurgy. I've had COVID all week, but we are back, and we are excited, and we want to put these episodes out for you because we had an absolute ball, didn't we?
Oh, it was the best. We had so much fun. It was just great meeting people.
Absolutely.
And great seeing what people thought, and it was so much fun.
We had some wonderful audiences. We had a lot of fun, and if you would like to come and see us do more live episodes, we are doing more live episodes a bit later on this year and early next year. Where can people find the link for that?
Oh, so whenever we're doing the live shows, the link will be in the show notes, just below.
Yeah, go in there, see if we're coming to somewhere near you, and please come along and see them. They're a lot of fun. It's a little bit different to the normal podcast. We have a lot of fun with the audience before we even start recording, so please do come along to those. It would be great to see you. We're going to be putting some of the Edinburgh live shows out over the next few months, so do watch out for them. They are fantastic, and we really appreciate all the guests that came on and all the audiences that came and joined us.
Oh, it was brilliant.
Now, where can people follow us on social media?
You can follow us on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram, and on YouTube, and our handle is Believe Conspiracy Pod.
Absolutely, it's where we put exclusive content about the conspiracies that we've been talking about, photos, videos, loads of stuff about them. Comment on it, like it, tell us what you think of the conspiracy theories we've been talking about. We want to know your opinion, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. We want your input, and tell us what you think. Tell us what you know, because I know there's lots of people out there that have the secrets that we want.
That's right. You've got the secrets, and we've got the key.
Yeah.
If you have got some conspiracy theories that you would like us to talk about, how can people get in contact and let us know what those are?
Well, we're very modern. We have an email address, and that email address is believeconspiracypod@gmail.com. Get in contact. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you wanted us to talk about. Tell us what your angle on something. Like we've discussed JFK before, right? But that was only one angle. Well, there was a number of angles because he got his head blown off.
Yeah.
Okay.
But do let us know the conspiracies that you want to talk about. And some of the conspiracies that we covered as part of our Edinburgh live shows were ones that audiences have suggested. And that's why we want to know what you would like us to cover. Because we want to do this for you, don't we?
Yes. And also, I'm very biased. I'm pretty much Bigfoot and aliens. I want other conspiracy theories.
We need new stuff. Yes. Now, if you enjoyed this podcast, please give us a little 5-star review, whether you listen on Spotify or Amazon or Apple, wherever you get your podcast. We're trying to grow the podcast. It's doing very well. We're very, very happy with the progress. We're very happy to see so many people come out for the live shows, but we'd like to grow a little bit more. And the way you can help us do that is just give us a little 5-star review. It's completely free for you, but it helps us out enormously. In fact, I tell you what, we'll wait for you to do that right now.
Yeah,
let's do that.
Good idea.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for doing that. Really appreciate it. Now, George was up with us in Edinburgh. He was a very good boy, wasn't he?
Oh, he was a very good boy. He stayed in his cage. He was very well behaved. And we let him off his chain one time.
We did, which we'll tell you about later on in this season. He was a very good boy. We really treated him that day. And who was the guest for this particular episode?
Today's guest is the wonderful, the lovely Will Robbins.
The lovely Will Robbins. Will is a stand-up comedian, actor, writer, producer. He is one half of the sketch sensation The Lovely Boys, who've amassed thousands of followers as well as performing sellout live shows, and they now have their own Radio 4 show, which we talk about in this podcast. He's been on Comedy Central, he's been on Dave, he's written and worked on shows like Will I Lie to You, The Last Leg, Russell Howard's Good News, and Strictly Come Dancing. He was up in Edinburgh doing his debut show. It was called With the Best Will in the World, which I was lucky enough to see, and it was a fantastic show.
Such a great title.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. And he was a fantastic guest, wasn't he?
Oh, he was. He kept us on our toes.
He did. We had so much fun with Will in the room. We're picking this episode up from the point that we introduced Will on the stage. We had a bit of time with the audience before this, where we talked about the conspiracies that we're not allowed to talk about on the main podcast. So if you're interested in hearing those, you should come along to a live show, because that's where we talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The stuff that's litigious, the stuff that gets gets us in trouble if we ever put it out on YouTube.
Yeah.
So come along and you'll hear that. It's a little bit different to the normal show because of that, but it's great fun. Just for a bit of context, there was a few Americans in the audience and also an audience member who really wanted us to cover the Avril Lavigne is dead conspiracy, which we are covering in this particular season. We'll be doing another live episode, which will be coming out a little bit later on this year, so do check that one out. Also, a few minutes into this episode, a few people come into the audience a bit late, so we just referenced that. But other than that, it's a lot of fun. It's a great episode.
Yeah, it's just like any other ones that we've done, except there were people there.
There's loads of people there. And what is the conspiracy that Will chose?
This is a doozy. The Titanic didn't sink.
The Titanic didn't sink.
It didn't sink.
Let's do this.
Get out of the rabbit hole.
It's a fake. Every single bird in the sky is a robot.
It's fiction.
Doubt your government.
It's an urban legend.
Like, if they're actually spraying something in the sky?
No way.
A stream of absurdity.
It's a total fabrication.
Today's fantastic guest. I love a Willy. And today's fantastic guest is the brilliant comedian, the lovely boy himself, Will Robbins.
Will Robbins, everyone! Take a seat, Will.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How is everyone?
Oh, how are you?
I'm all right. I thought this was a podcast.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't realise there would be people here.
Yeah, that's what they're here for, yeah.
Hello.
I like that we surprised you with an audience, Will, as a professional comedian.
I swear.
It's all right, it is on, don't worry.
Yeah, I swear. I thought this was the recorded podcast.
Oh, okay.
I just stumbled out of bed and I was 10 minutes late and I didn't care. But I would have cared if I knew there's people here, so I'm apologising.
That's fine. We will take offence to that, but not for them. Yeah, good.
No, you're dead to me, Will.
Yeah, but you love Willies.
I do love. You got to meet Willy Cook.
What Willy Cook?
Instagram
Another great
star.
Willy?
Oh, I love What Willy Cook.
You should probably explain what Willy Cook is.
So What Willy Cook is an Instagram cookery page, and it's this cheeky chappy who's rather delicious himself, making food and using the wrong words, and it's really, really funny.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't want to promote him; we want to promote us.
But
But Will met him yesterday.
And
Was he
what's-
as pretty as he?
He's a lovely man.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
very kind and funny.
What does he ask?
No, he just loves comedy. He came up to the festival.
Oh, that's nice.
He
Okay,
watched
so-
lots of comedy.
He does like quick, easy recipes because I can't cook. I mean, look at me, I'm a fat man. I obviously just eat whatever falls into my face. And I watch What Willy Cooks, and it's all good. It's on Instagram. He's
Nice.
very cute. He's very cute. I don't mean to be like a stereotypical
Stop
gay
treating
man.
him like a piece of meat.
Oh, I ain't vegan. No, you know.
Will, how's your Edinburgh going?
It's going okay. It's
Yeah?
good. I'm ready for it to be sort of over. Yeah, but it's okay. It's just I don't understand why it's a month.
Yeah, no one understands why it's a month.
I think 3 weeks would suffice.
Yeah,
well,
it's a
I'm
ridiculous length of time.
It's too
And
much.
you're doing a show, and you've got a Radio 4 show at the
Yes.
moment as well.
I'm in a double act called The Lovely Boys, and we have a Radio 4 series out at the moment. It's a comedy sketch show. It's on BBC Sounds.
It's very, very funny. I suggest you check it out. It's genuinely one of the best things that's been on Radio 4 Sounds for a long time. It's just silly, not brilliant stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't believe it's on the radio.
Yeah. I mean, neither can we, Will.
I was quite shocked. Yeah.
Conspiracy theories. What do you think about conspiracy theories? What do you think about conspiracy theorists? What's your general feeling on them?
I think they give people excitement. It's fun to think we've been lied to, and but like, oh, maybe it is a cover up. That's more fun than just going along with it, being like, yes, there's no aliens, yes, we landed on the moon, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's fun to discuss it and be like, no, poke holes in it. I don't believe a lot of them.
Yeah. Are there any that you've got any sort of seed of doubt with, or any you think, oh, maybe is something in there?
I mean, people like to do the moon. If you don't, you've obviously done the moon.
Yeah, the someone over here, sister-in-law, doesn't believe in that we went to the moon.
I think we have been to the moon. I think it would be too much of a operation to cover that up and be like, yes, we landed on the moon.
Yeah.
Because
I think it's more ridiculous to imagine that we actually did go to the moon. You know.
Yeah, no, that is a good argument, and that's why it's everlasting.
The room just did not come at all.
Because you believe we went to the moon, but you believe that moon footage that we saw wasn't the actual footage of the landing.
It was done in a studio.
Yeah.
They find the landscape that they shot it against. Like it didn't. The footage that we're looking at isn't the moon landing. Although I will concede we might have went to the moon. No one is going.
Bomb.
Boom.
Yeah.
It's hollow. The Earth is flat.
Have you ever met a conspiracy theorist apart from David? Will?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. Because you're from Somerset, aren't you? There must be a few.
I don't know what that implies. Do we have anyone from the West Country? Yeah.
Yay.
What part of the West Country? Bristol. Love Bristol. I grew up in Bruton, near Bristol, and born in Frome. Not fun for anyone else, but just nice for us.
I didn't know that. I love Bristol.
Bristol's great. I've got good friends like who are staunch. There's a video on YouTube of a sort of marching band or something outside Buckingham Palace, and then this video's gone viral, and they paused the video, and apparently, welcome. And you pause the video, and then you zoom in, and apparently there's a window on the corner of the house of Buckingham Palace, and there's someone coming down a tied-up sheet, and it's a paedophile claim that there's kids trying to escape Buckingham Palace. Yeah. I looked at the video, it's doctored, it's fake, it's 100% fake, but the lady I'm sort of arguing and debating it with thinks it's 100% real, and it's you can't explain it to her, and it's just like, she's like, no, it is real, and I'm like, I could get a mate to knock this up in minutes.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic, it's a bit of bait.
Was Prince Andrew in residence at the time?
Yeah, he's at the window saying, "Get out, quick, leave!"
That would have more legitimacy if he was, yeah. Cool, okay, so this conspiracy theory, the Titanic didn't sink. So has anyone heard this conspiracy before, by the way? You have? Yeah, of course you have, sir. So the sinking of the RMS Titanic on April 15th, 1912, after colliding with an iceberg, is one of the most famous maritime disasters in history. Over 1,500 passengers and crew members lost their lives in the North Atlantic, and the tragedy has been extensively documented and studied. However, despite overwhelming historical evidence supporting the Titanic's sinking, a conspiracy theory has gained traction that suggests the Titanic never actually sank at all. Proponents of this theory claim that another ship, the RMS Olympic, a near identical sister ship of the Titanic, was sunk in a deliberate act of insurance fraud.
Yes.
Anyone? No one believes. Okay. Has anyone heard this and have any doubt about this? Okay, all right. No, the guys in the back shaking said, no, that's absolute fucking nonsense. But Avril Lavigne's definitely dead. You know a bit about this one.
I do know a bit about this one. I'm from Belfast originally. That's what this noise is. And my grandfather worked for Harland and Wolff, who were the people that built the ship. And one of my things from childhood is my grandfather had a bolt that had been used in the Titanic and been taken out. One of my favorite things about the Titanic Museum that's in Belfast, you see a newspaper headline from the time, and it's a newspaper from Belfast, and the headline for the sinking of Titanic is, "It was fine when it left here." And that tells you all about where I come from, But there is a lot to be said for it being insurance fraud. I mean, that's certainly in there. And the Olympic, and there's also there's another.
Don't ask me things that aren't in my notes.
All right, so the Olympics, there were two, the Olympic and the Britannic, were two other ships, and they were built at a loss, and the Titanic was the one that was unsinkable. It was the great one, right? And
don't call it the unsinkable.
But that's what it was known. It was known as the unsinkable Titanic.
That's like tempting fate.
They definitely did that.
Found the Titanic, Will?
Wait, what? The movie?
Yeah, we're not the sinking of the ship.
Fan of the 1500 dead? No, I'm not. No, but maybe they didn't die.
Yeah, maybe they didn't die. So, I mean, I'll give you the origin of the theory. So the Titanic conspiracy theory can be traced back to a few notable sources, with much of the speculation beginning in the 1990s and the early 2000s. What a coincidence.
What a coinky dink.
Yeah, that it's just after the film Titanic was released. One of the most popular versions of the theory is presented in Robin Gardner's 1998 book Titanic, The Ship That Never Sank. Gardner's theory suggests that the Titanic swapped with its sister ship, the RMS Olympic, prior to the doomed voyage. According to this narrative, the Olympic, which had been damaged in a collision with a British warship in 1911, was facing significant financial losses for its owner, the White Star Line. To recover the money, the company allegedly staged a deliberate sinking of the Olympic under the guise of the Titanic, collecting the insurance payout in the process.
It's all about money. Follow the money.
But lots of people died as well.
Yeah, I don't think they planned for the people to die.
But there wasn't enough lifeboats for the amount of people on the boat.
Yeah.
which is upsetting.
It is upsetting.
Has anybody seen Jordan Brooks's Edinburgh show? It's all about the Titanic. If anyone is into the Titanic, have you seen it?
I saw the preview last year.
Yeah,
And it's very, very good.
yeah.
It's basically a Titanic musical. Go and see it. It's brilliant.
I think there's a few nuggets in there. He says, obviously, women and children went first onto the lifeboats, if it was even real.
Yeah.
And apparently 3 dogs survived as well.
Yeah.
So he makes a joke about that, saying the men were probably on the boat being like, we're being such brave boys, aren't we? And then they spot a dog on the boat being like, fucking dog on there. His joke, not mine.
Yeah. So Robin Gardner said, this was collusion, conspiracy and cover-up on an unprecedented scale. The evidence is overwhelming. Eyewitnesses themselves describe running along the Titanic's deck, but where they said they were promenades, they should have been cabins. And while survivors on B deck described seeing lifeboats being lowered from above, there's no way they would have been on that Titanic, only on the ship the Olympic. You only have to look at the ship's specifications to see the Titanic passengers were actually aboard Olympic. Have you had a look at the Titanic specifications?
Yeah. But I don't really know about ships. I'm car blind. If I like, so we drove up here, and the only reason I could find the car that we were in, in a car park or whatever, is because I knew a bag that was in the back seat. Like I cannot do it. For years when I would visit back home and I'd go visit my aunt, and this is a woman I've known a long time with the same car. The only reason I knew it was her car was because there was a Cats Protection League sticker in the window. So you're asking me, do I know the difference between boats?
I was wondering how I was going to bring that back round to the Titanic, didn't you?
You're boat blind as well.
I'm blind now. I have the lights in my eyes, and I feel like I'm doing this in a nightmare.
According to Mr. Gardner, the real story starts with financier J.P. Morgan's takeover of White Star and the Royal Navy's investment in the company's new liners as potential troop carriers. He said, following the Agadir crisis in 1911, Morgan began to ship gold and other treasures back to safe haven of the US. There was also pressure on White Star to make up the cost of the damage to Olympic, which had been damaged in a collision with HMS Hawke, but which the insurance company would not cover. Swapping the identities of the Olympic and Titanic was also the opportunity for Morgan, with the collusion of the British government, to quietly ship 8 million of gold to the US. So what we're saying here, Will, is that the British government did something sinister.
I refuse to believe that. You wash your mouth out. The government playing up? No.
The thing is, there is some old grainy camera footage of the Titanic leaving, isn't there? And it does very clearly say Titanic on the side of the fucking ship.
It does, but that can be doctored.
Yeah, now it could be doctored.
But not back then.
Yeah.
No, but
AI.
I've got nothing.
This is a hard one to justify, isn't it?
Oh, I'll tell you why it's a really, really hard one. Because my grandfather worked for Harland and Wolff. I was obsessed with Titanic when I was a kid, and my grandfather, not a religious man at all, would go to church on the anniversary of the Titanic because he really felt it. Even though he didn't build anything with the ship. He wasn't that old, and I'm not that old. But I was always made to remember that a lot of people died, and it was a very, very cruel thing that happened, and a needless thing that happened, and we lost Leonardo DiCaprio, and it was awful.
There was space on that raft.
There was definitely space on that fucking door.
There was.
Yeah, that's the biggest conspiracy.
So people are saying it could be an insurance thing.
That's the main theory.
So the captain crashed it on purpose. It was all sort of planned.
It was all planned, yeah. They didn't mean it to go as badly wrong as it did.
Right.
They meant the people to get off the ship or for it to actually make it to the land, but it was so badly damaged it then have to be written off. That's the theory.
Yeah.
So what he says is, this author, he says, to the present day, the most common maritime insurance fraud involves changing identities of ships. But tragically, the planned staging of the sinking of the Titanic, whereby other ships from the company would have been on hand to rescue all the passengers and crew, went disastrously wrong, and more than 1,500 souls perished. So it wasn't supposed to happen, I think, this far out to sea. Mr. Garner even refutes that the ship hit an iceberg. Passengers described feeling a shudder, but if a ship that size, travelling at the speed, had hit an iceberg of that size, the noise would have been huge and the impact would have hit everyone off their feet. I think the White Star planned a small collision of some sort and then a straightforward rescue of the passengers by ships waiting nearby. Straightforward rescue. Unfortunately, the ship was steered hard left instead of hard right and turned away from the rescue ships.
Captains like that.
Yeah. It may also have hit a wreck or another ship, and most passengers didn't stand a chance.
Yeah, it was very cruel. I mean, our sort of knowledge of Titanic is the movie, and I gotta say that My Heart Will Go On is playing in my head right now and won't stop. So if
Anyone
I
else? Yeah, no, okay.
And that movie isn't that historically accurate.
Oh no, shit.
I know, right? Like there's weird things in there that they could have made a moment in the movie that they don't, like the unsinkable Molly Brown, played by Kathy Bates. She's in the movie. She's the one that gives Jack the suit. That's her only function in the storyline, but she saved lives. She said like you see her say the line in the movie where she's saying like there's empty lifeboats going away, but she grabbed people and put them on. Like she was a vigorous woman, and you don't really see that in the movie. I guess it would have pulled focus from the two beautiful people running around trying to save their lives. Has anyone seen the video of Titanic? It's been cut down like to a 2-minute like TikTok kind of thing, but they've got a cat with them.
Titanic. Fantastic. Yes.
It's like and that's also now playing in my head, and I feel that you should know that right now.
Give us a cheer if you've seen that video. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's one of the funniest things on the internet. It's absolute genius.
And they're spinning around.
Yeah. Basically, they replaced Kate Winslet with a cat, and it is amazing. The whole thing's amazing.
And it doesn't markedly change the story.
It doesn't really change the story. Because the Titanic is a good film where it's not focused on those two. Like when it's actually focused on some of the stuff that actually happened, like the band playing on and the captain going down with the ship and the Irish being locked on the lower deck. Sorry to bring that up. It's like that bit is genuine. It hits you, that part, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's a tragedy, even though it was like how many hundred years? It's
1500, yeah.
1500.
They had to have the love story thread, though, didn't they?
Yeah.
Hollywood, isn't it?
Hollywood, yeah. So he says, you only have to read the inquiry notes, see how many people's testimony was strangely stopped, and look at all the official paperwork to see the ships were swapped. Mr. Gardner said that the Titanic sailed on as the Olympic for the rest of her career before being sent to the Breakers Yard in 1937. That seems a big oversight, really, doesn't it? If you were trying to stage it to then let it carry on, going, yep, no, definitely.
There it is.
Definitely, yeah.
But as I often say, hiding something in plain sight is the best way to get past people.
No, it isn't. We've had this discussion before. That's the worst way to hide something.
No, it's the best. I feel like we're in a course of abusive relationships sometimes.
Yeah. He said, I think all of this celebration of the Titanic is a bit sick. I don't think White Star planned to kill all those people, but they did die, and Olympic should be left in peace at the bottom of the North Atlantic as a grave. I will prove the ships have swapped, and this terrible accident was completely avoidable. I mean, he hasn't done that yet, but he's giving it a good old bash, and he's making a lot of money. Part of me, and this is my cynical side coming out, is he wrote this book in 1998, and he's written further books about it, and he's made quite a lot of money from that.
It's all about the money.
It's all about the money.
Follow the money.
But it is true that if you throw a wild conspiracy theory out there, people are engaged, aren't they? I mean, these people are here.
Yeah, 100%. And the wilder the sort of... It's like when you're at school and you spread a rumour about someone, the more wild it is, the quicker it will be spread because it's funny or like weird or shocking. If you say, oh, so-and-so doesn't clean his teeth twice a day, he only does it once a day, no one cares. But if you say he eats poo every day, that's more wild. And everyone will be like, oh, did you hear about Craig? He's eating poo every day. They spread it quicker.
Absolutely.
It's more insane.
It spreads, doesn't it?
Sorry to say,
I'm not casting aspersion on the West Country, but that is,
I had a rumour going around school that I was gay.
Yeah.
So other key arguments of the theory. So the conspiracy theory rests on a few key points that supporters claim provide evidence for the ship switch and planned disaster. So unusual circumstances surrounding the voyage. Conspiracy theories also point to unusual circumstances surrounding the Titanic's voyage as suspicious. For example, J.P. Morgan, the powerful financier who owned the White Star Line, was scheduled to sail on the Titanic but cancelled his trip at the last minute. Other prominent figures also cancelled their reservation, leading some to speculate that they were forewarned of the disaster. Furthermore, conspiracy theories argue that there was an unusually small number of lifeboats on the ship, suggesting that the company was unconcerned with passenger safety because the ship was meant to sink under controlled conditions.
Wow. That's scary.
Yeah.
But, businessmen cancel trips all the time, but that's perfect fodder for, like, conspiracy theorists.
Absolutely.
Like, what, they cancelled? They were meant to be on, but they cancelled last minute, and it's too juicy for them. They love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think it's when you're looking for a conspiracy. I don't know if anyone else thinks this, but you're trying to find those nuggets, aren't you?
And
in the
you
story.
will find it. You'll just put 2 and 3 together and get 11.
Yeah, exactly.
For the story.
Yeah.
Well, it's whoever profits. That I think there's an argument to be said for that. Like that J.P. Morgan not getting on the Titanic when he was supposed to. I do think raises alarm bells because he travelled the next 2 days later. He travelled. And there wasn't anything major for. He just travelled on a different boat.
Whether or not they thought it was going to crash, do you think he might have been in the knowledge that it wasn't actually unsinkable?
Yes, definitely. Because it was incredibly bad luck. What happened with the Titanic, with its side getting pierced, it really was effectively unsinkable. It's just the one way it could be sunk is the way it was sunk. Do you know what I mean? Like,
what a coincidence.
Yeah, But one of my favorite things about that, not favorite thing, what a weird thing to say. One of my favorite thing about the death of a lot of people who died horrible deaths, let's not forget, because frozen water, not fun. Anyone done the ice bath challenge? Where you hear girls, you get up to your... I did that and I started crying.
How long did you last?
About 3 minutes. I was able to do it for 3 minutes. I was but I was crying. And my jaw wouldn't start shattering. So that's that. But death.
That's what...
No one keeps... Look, I'm starting to get paranoid now. Do you hate me? Or do you just think, he needs help? Will someone help him?
That's definitely what I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen that look before.
We've known you for quite a few years.
They want you to die.
Yeah. So the ship's numbering and markings. One of the more detailed claims centres around the ship's identification numbers. According to some theorists, the ship believed to be the Titanic has certain identification marks that corresponded with the Olympic, implying that the ships had been switched. This part of the theory also includes claims that some of the interior decor and fixtures, such as the flooring, matched what had been installed on the Olympic, not the Titanic.
For some strange reason, all I can think about is Catherine Zeta-Jones was in a TV miniseries about the Titanic.
Was there a TV miniseries about Titanic?
Yeah. Okay. And there's also a Nazi version of Titanic.
Great, perfect.
It was one of Goebbels' greatest achievements. It's interesting. And, Catherine Zeta-Jones, very beautiful woman, wasn't making it in Hollywood. Steven Spielberg saw the miniseries, which is all right. Check it out. Special effects are terrible. It looks like they did it in a cupboard. It's really like, that's jarring. But Catherine Zeta-Jones was recommended by Steven Spielberg for the Zorro movie, and that's how her Hollywood career happened. And I always loved that. But I don't know why my brain went to that.
So... refuted the conspiracy theory. Despite the sensational claims by proponents of the theory, the vast majority of historians, maritime experts and Titanic researchers dismiss the idea that the Titanic never sank as implausible and unfounded. Here are some of the main things that they refute. The overwhelming eyewitness testimony. Hundreds of survivors of the Titanic disaster provided detailed testimonies about their experience, describing the ship's design, layout and even the event of the sinking. These accounts collaborate with the official history that the Titanic, not the Olympic, was the ship that struck the iceberg and sank. Survivors and crew members, including those who had worked on both ships, would likely have noticed any discrepancies in the ship's identity if the theory were true. It is probably fair to say that somebody would have said something. Do you know what I mean?
Someone would have done, yeah.
Definitely. This isn't what I paid for.
Yeah. But I guess at the time, one thing that sort of supports this theory is that the people that built the Titanic were low-paid workers, working-class people. At the time, it wasn't a period where they really had a voice. So somebody coming out and saying, actually, do you know that ship that went off, it wasn't the one you're thinking of, would they have necessarily been listened to? Do they have any, do you know what I mean? If they'd gone to the papers, would they have been listened to?
No, but if the way Harlan and Wolff was... it's still kind of there, but obviously it's finished. But people would see the building of the ship. It was a big deal, it's a lot of fun. Even if you go to the Titanic Museum, they've got the building of it. It's riveting. It's riveting. The Titanic Museum in Belfast. So people saw it get built. Do you know what I mean? That's actually the Olympic. The Olympic was already out and about at that time. So it's what were they building if that wasn't the Titanic and wasn't going to get used? And
also, when it did sink, which means I think it did sink, people used
Such
to
a sheep, Will.
Yeah, sheeple. People used to scuba dive and go underwater to go and look at the ruins and look for treasure and bits and bobs. And didn't that submarine go there recently?
Yeah. Well, it didn't quite make it. Let's face it. But yeah, it did.
Are you getting to that, or was that?
I wasn't going to cover it, Will, but let's go into it.
More dead people.
The millionaire guy, or maybe billionaire, went to go and look at it in his submarine for a laugh with his kid as a fun day out, and it never made it.
No.
Well,
What we're saying is, don't go on tours to the Titanic.
With a
If there's
billionaire.
any billionaires in the room, which, let's face it, it's free Fringe. It seems unlikely.
And if there is, we want sponsorship. No.
If it was safe, would anyone like to go and visit the ruins of the Titanic?
In what?
You would like to go and see
But
it?
would you go in that submarine, or would you scuba dive it? I feel safe for scuba diving it. I don't want to be in that pod.
I don't think you can scuba dive that deep.
Because it's hundreds of miles down.
Yeah, it's a long, long way down.
Okay, let's get in the pod.
I mean, the reason one of the big driving reasons why James Cameron did the film was because he wanted to explore the Titanic. There's a whole documentary about it, and I think that's actually kind of beautiful. That he was like, I want to see it for real. He advanced nautical. Is it nautical when it goes underwater?
Yeah.
Nautical science. Forgive me. And we found out things about Titanic, and the Titanic when it was sinking went up, and this is in the movie, and it split, and that was debated for very many years. And James Cameron was instrumental in making sure that we understood that is what happened, what witness claims were happening. Oh, it could never happen like that, and it was down to James Cameron. And then he made a movie where someone got drawn like a French girl.
Yeah. Because actually, before the 1997 film Titanic, because there's been loads of films about the Titanic before that, but none of them had actually depicted it as breaking. It had always gone down in one. That's
interesting.
Even Raise the Titanic, which I think is like an 80s film, it's in one piece, isn't it?
Have you ever seen Raise the Titanic? It was a complete flop. It's awesome. It's such a
It's a mental film. It's a mental film.
Yeah. It's good. Check it out. It's like Towering Inferno and Earthquake and those 70s blockbuster disaster movies, but it really is at the tail end of it, and you're just like, oh, this doesn't work at all. And I love it. I love a good bad movie.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go on about.
Seen any other Titanic films, Will?
I've seen The Meg.
Oh yes.
Were you aware of The Meg? That massive shark.
Yeah. Prehistoric shark.
Yeah.
Living down there with the Titanic.
No, that's real.
Yeah, that's real.
David Attenborough does the voice on it. I'm 100% sure that is a real animal.
In fairness, like Bigfoot, David Attenborough has not discounted the idea that the Meg might exist.
Well, we haven't explored the sea. There's so much out there, and like, there's got to be something big and huge and terrifying out there that isn't Cthulhu. You do know what I mean?
But that's true. That it's why it took like 60 years to actually discover that the Titanic was in two pieces, wasn't it?
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's so deep, but we didn't have technology to get down there.
We're not a land planet. We're a water planet, and there's weird things out there.
Yeah.
Anybody believe in mermaids? No, gotta stop.
So, insurance fraud improbability. The theory that the White Star Line would attempt to sink one of its own ships as part of an insurance scam is considered highly unlikely. For one, the financial and legal repercussions of such an elaborate scheme would have been immense. Sinking a ship with over 2,000 people on board would involve not just a criminality, but mass murder. The White Star Line would have been liable for both the human tragedy and the loss of the valuable cargo, further complicating the insurance payout.
Well, I mean, the argument that it wasn't some sort of conspiracy, that lots of people died, is not really one that holds up.
I'd like to think it was just an accident, but I always try and see the best in. I'm sort of naive, maybe. I'm like, no, it must have just been an innocent accident. That's what I always want to believe.
Yeah.
And you always give people the benefit of the doubt. But I've been proved wrong, like loads of times, with that sort of mentality.
But most of the time it is the right mentality, because the whole Occam's razor theory, the simplest explanation is usually the correct one, right?
Yeah, and you think people are normally doing their best, trying their best and trying to be nice people. But yeah, I was proved wrong. I don't know if I should. It's like that Hugh Edwards story.
Yeah.
Sorry to bring this up. I was like, no, he's just spoken to a 17-year-old, like, it's not the end of the world. And then it all fucking came out that he was going way too far. And I was like, this is shocking. I was really, like, let down by that. And I kind of wish I never brought this up.
Just for a bit of a context, if you don't know who Hugh Edwards was, he was a revered presenter on the BBC, beautiful Welsh voice, and he's a dirty, filthy
He's not beautiful.
person.
No, he's a bad man.
He's a bad man.
He's a bad man. It's an education for our American friends. There you go. So, forensic evidence. The wreck of the Titanic was discovered in 1985 by Dr. Robert Ballard, lying at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. The forensic analysis of the wreckage has provided a wealth of evidence confirming that it is indeed the Titanic. Mainly the fact that Titanic's written on the fucking side of it. The ship's unique identifiers, such as its construction and layout, align with the plans and designs of the Titanic, not the Olympic. Furthermore, parts of the ship bearing the name Titanic have been photographed and recovered from the wreck site. Or have they?
I see. I'm a bit. I'm meant to be the believer, and I do believe I wasn't lying when I said that I believed in Bigfoot, and I don't think we have footage of the moon landing, even though I think maybe we did go there. Because I think if we didn't go there, like China and the USSR would have said, do you know what I mean? They would have been like, "Hey, you didn't do that. You know, that's very good footage," but they didn't do that.
On this particular theory, what I would say is it probably would be easier to fake the evidence of this because so few people can afford to go down there or have the expertise or equipment to go it, that if you were colluding with those organisations, you could do that, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
send the insurance broker down there. Oh yeah, he's checked the wreckage. Yes, it was definitely an accident, and everyone's very sad about this. Now, where's our money?
Yeah.
Do you have the bit about the book that was written 10 years before?
No, go for it.
Okay, so there's a book that predates the Titanic by like 15 years, and it talks about the sinking of the unsinkable ship, and it's called Titanic. And this is published 15 years before it actually happened. So that one of the things that fuels conspiracy theories is the idea that anything that happens gets announced first. If you're aware of 9/11, anyone heard of 9/11? 9/11 jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams. It doesn't. But my point is, if you go online, you can find all the predictions for conspiracy theory.
Do your research.
Do your research. Like it was predicted from 1947. There are cartoons in 1947 that people hold up and say, "This predicted the World Trade Towers falling," when they hadn't even been built yet. But it's a great thing. It's a great thing.
Wait, how is that?
Oh, I'll send you the video. It's on YouTube.
I don't know if I want to get into this wormhole. But yeah.
I mean, it's hours of your life going, oh my goodness. It definitely.
But again, though, if you want to believe something like that, you will find enough evidence to support the story that you want to have in your head.
I do, but I wanted to believe I was straight, and I totally wasn't. Do you know what I mean? Like I've had to reevaluate myself. Do you know what I mean? But it's just very, very interesting. As human beings, we like to look at things and we like to feel like we have the inside track.
Yes,
and
that's true.
I know what the truth is, and I know what the truth is. But it's all out there. Look it up about the Titanic. That book. It was called the ship was called the Titan in the book. And it's all just, it's very coincidental. Also could be evidence that we've got psychic abilities and can predict things, but that's another rabbit hole.
Or it's just a massive coincidence.
Oh, is there such a thing as coincidence?
Well, yeah.
We live in the Matrix.
So, lack of motive. One of the major flaws of the conspiracy theory is the lack of a clear motive. White Star Line, although facing some financial challenges with the Olympic, was not in a position where they would need to resort to sinking a ship for insurance money. The financial risk of such a plan, combined with the ethical and legal implications, would far outweigh any potential gains from an insurance payout. I mean, I sort of agree with that. However, insurance companies working on any kind of ethical level does seem a bit far-fetched.
Agreed.
Yeah. Although that said, they would say that, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
They would say, no, we didn't need the money.
We didn't need money.
Yeah.
We always need the money.
Would you like to hear some other crazy Titanic conspiracy theories? Yeah. Okay. So, the Titanic sinking was part of an elaborate murder plot. Some say JP Morgan arranged an elaborate murder. As the theory goes, Morgan wanted to create the US Federal Reserve Bank, which was opposed by his rivals, millionaires John Jacob Astor, Benjamin Guggenheim, and Macy's Isidore Straus. All three rivals were aboard the Titanic. Guggenheim and Straus apparently went down with the ship. Astor's body was later recovered.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit. I think there's other ways to kill. It's the biggest boat in the world, and it's too much of a plan. It's too big of a plan to kill three people.
It is quite an extreme way to kill three people.
It's unnecessary.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Unless he was trying to do that and the insurance job in one hit, maybe that was it.
Yep, potentially.
It's a lot of planning. What do you think about that one?
I think I think it's very interesting how the Federal Reserve came in on the US and they were all opposed to it, and once their voices were gone, it kind of was easy to get the Federal Reserve to exist.
Yeah.
But it's also could be coincidence.
Could be coincidence. So, the cursed mummy theory. The Titanic supposedly sank. The Titanic supposedly sank to its grave carrying a cursed mummy in its hold. It seems the mummified Egyptian princess also left a trail of devastation across England in the 1900s after being excavated and moved. However, Charles House of the Titanic International Society assessed the ship's cargo manifest in 1985, and there was no mummy aboard, cursed or otherwise. How would you know that?
This sounds like a Nicolas Cage movie.
I want to see it. The thing about mummies though is sometimes once we got into the 20th century, they were started not to be treated as cargo but as humans. Like mummies tend to have passports now. You know, Tutankhamun, when the mummy was in the UK, he had to have a passport. Even though he was a mummy. So what
are you saying?
Tutankhamun has a passport. Look it up. I'm not making that up. And
I don't believe it.
But it started in the beginning of the 20th
Tutankhamun was too young to have a passport.
Yeah, he died when he was like 16. Yeah. But that was the thing. So it might not show up because I just love the idea. There's a cursed mummy on the Titanic. I just love it.
Will, any thoughts on that one?
No, I can't top what you're saying.
I promise. Tutankhamun had a passport.
So the sinking was as a result of sabotage. Belfast shipbuilders Harland and Wolff being the focus of several conspiracy theories. As one story goes, Catholic workers were horrified that the ship's hull number 390904 seemed to spell out "No Pope" if read backwards.
Oh no! This is where I draw the line. I can't be dealing with people who work these kind of things out. It's like there's someone said there's an anagram for what's her name, Madeleine McCann. They were like, oh, the anagram spells out "I am dead" or something like that. And I was like, no, it doesn't. And it took me about 10 seconds to work it out. And then he was like, oh no, sorry, no, it doesn't.
Could you give a bit of historical context to that about the Harland and Wolff, the no Pope thing? There weren't any Catholics working in Harland and Wolff then. That's because Northern Ireland is fractious. But yeah, there weren't Catholic workers there. Harland and Wolff was a Protestant place. Yeah,
well, that's exactly what they're saying. So the Titanic was assigned to yard number 401, and her official board of trade designation was 131428. So 390904 seems to have been plucked out the sky.
And
also,
that spells out boobies.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, do you know what? I did actually do this on a calculator to check that it does spell out "No Pope," and it really does do that. But again, you were talking about earlier, like when you're scratching at the entrails or something to try and support your belief, anything like that will that's definitely evidence there.
Yeah. Clutching at straws.
Yeah, exactly. Also, the company was also almost exclusively staffed by Protestants, like you said. So that theory doesn't really check out.
There is a reason why the troubles happened.
Substandard rivets were used to cut costs. So Harland and Wolff were also blamed for using substandard materials to save money during construction, even though there was no limit on the budget to build the luxury liner. Supposedly, they used wrought iron rivets, mechanical fasteners instead of steel rivets, as there were 3 million rivets in the Titanic's hull. The theory is that the lower grade standard rivets were brittle in cold temperatures and popped off when the steamship hit an iceberg. Suspicions of rivet failure have haunted the Titanic for a century, but they are just that, suspicions. Actually, this is rooted in some level of reality, isn't it? Because there is a theory that the reason it sank is because they did use the wrong. Some of the materials that were used were slightly underpowered.
High quality. Yeah. Sounds like Grenfell. Yeah, it's not funny.
Cut corners.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that one?
Well, my granddad had a rivet from, I said at the top of the show, that had a rivet from Titanic, and it had been taken out. But I don't know whether that was steel or iron.
Get it tested.
Like I could crack the case open. No.
So the Titanic's captain was under pressure to create a new speed record. Was Captain Edward...
Let me guess. Was he a male?
Yes, he was.
Bloody hell.
Was Captain Edward Smith pressured to set a new speed record for the quickest crossing of the Atlantic? Did his boss, White Star CEO Joseph Ismay, pile on the pressure? It didn't actually help that Ismay jumped onto a lifeboat to leave the Titanic while 75% of the third-class passengers were drowning. Titanic, that's actually true, that did happen. Titanic, Captain Edward Smith's body was never recovered. His final moments remain a mystery with no shortage of conspiracy theories and conflicting accounts. In the some of the Titanic movies that have been made, they do speed the ship up, don't they, to see how fast it can go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was meant to be a very fast ship for the size of it and what have you. I mean, that there could be a grain of truth in that, because of course you want to make the time in record time. Do you know what I mean? Like, we can do it. We've got the technology, you know. And
everyone wants to beat their PB.
Oh, absolutely, personal best.
Yeah, personal best.
Or is that blood pressure? I don't know. Sorry.
But at the point that they hit the iceberg, as we understand it, if that even happened, it wasn't travelling at high speed, was it?
No, it was the angle that it hit that caused the most damage.
Yeah.
There is an argument that if they hadn't tried to avoid the iceberg, it actually would have gone better for them.
Well, because it would have split it open like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I know what I'm talking about.
But I mean, like, it's just a tragedy.
Well, no, it is a tragedy for the people who lost their lives. But what about the lobsters that were in the restaurant in the tank? That was a miracle day for them, and they all went on to live happy lives.
We're free. Yeah.
So no one thinks about the lobsters.
You're right. No one
thinks about
the lobsters. Yeah.
The chef was there about to cook them up, and then suddenly they're swimming about free.
Yeah. They're finally back in their homeland, back with their kind. It's a beautiful story for them.
When's that movie coming out?
So another one is the official inquiries were Freemasons whitewash. This is going to be right up your street. An American investigation held in 1912 found that the sinking of the Titanic was an act of God, which in legal terms means a natural hazard outside human control. The British inquiry found that the Titanic disaster was caused by a collision with an iceberg, brought about by the excessive speed at which the ship was being navigated. The British also decided there was no truth to the allegations that third-class passengers were locked below decks. Neither inquiry blamed the Titanic's owner for a negligence, however, leading to theories that the government inquiries were a whitewash orchestrated by the Freemasons.
Okay.
I mean, again, this is part of the problem is that governments do cover shit up, right?
Yeah, they don't want to panic the general public. So
Yeah.
I believe that they do that.
And at this time, 1912, it would have been a lot easier to do that than it would have now, because it's far
No
more
social
ways.
media.
Yeah, exactly. Far fewer ways to leak that information and control the media.
And there was a lot more respect given to the authority of news sources and what have you.
Yeah.
I mean, now we don't believe anything we hear, but back then there was, like it was said.
Well, you do. Okay, so the conspiracy theory that the Titanic never sank, but was instead swapped with its sister ship, the Olympic, has captured the imagination of conspiracy enthusiasts for decades. However, the story falls apart under scrutiny when faced with historical evidence, survivor testimony, and modern forensic analysis. While the theory may serve as an intriguing narrative for some, it remains a fringe idea with little to no support among credible historians or Titanic experts. The enduring fascination with the Titanic tragedy may continue to give rise to alternative theories, but the evidence overwhelmingly supports the conclusion that the Titanic sank on that fateful night in 1912. So, Will, did the Titanic sink?
I think I'm 100% sure that it sunk. For what reason? That's a bit of a grey area.
Yeah.
And maybe there was foul play there, or money reasons, money objectives, but it 100% sank.
Okay. David?
Yeah, it sank.
Okay. All that, and he knows it sank. Give us a cheer if you think the Titanic sank. Excellent. Give us a cheer if you don't think the Titanic sank. Excellent.
Come
right.
on,
Okay.
one of you. Somebody coward. Yes.
One guy. Thank you, sir. Well, where can people follow you on social media?
I'm on Instagram at Willy Robbins. Willy spelled like a willy.
Yes.
Who doesn't love a Willy?
And your show, The Lovely Boys, is on
BBC Radio 4, and we're called The Lovely Boys. So if you're ever on BBC Sounds, just look for The Lovely Boys. That's all you need to know.
It's genuinely great. You will laugh heartily.
It's slapstick. Yeah, it's fantastic.
It is fantastic. So, Would you all like, Will, would you like a Titanic joke to end the podcast?
I would love a Titanic joke.
Would you guys like a Titanic joke to end the podcast? Okay.
As it's the Edinburgh Fringe,
Yes.
why not?
What do you get when you cross the Atlantic with the Titanic? About halfway. You have been an absolutely lovely audience. Thank you so much for coming down. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Fringe.
Woo! Please like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. The more lovely subscribers we get, the more episodes we'll make. And follow us on Instagram and TikTok for regular updates and exclusive videos at Believe Conspiracy Pod. We love you. Bye!